Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
So what are your impressions of Valhalla, just for folks that have not seen it on TV or didn't watch the Ryder Cups or past majors?
You know, they see a PGA maybe at a Southern Hills or a Bet Page or, whatever it may be. And they're like, Valhalla and Louisville, Kentucky. But like, look at the tournaments produced and it's insane. Yeah. It really has. And obviously, of course, I'm a bias toward it.
Only on SportsGrid.
Draisaitl could easily, at plus money, get the first goal, the second goal, the fourth goal. There's a few guys here. Maybe the prop betting market is not a bad way to look here.
Clippers over the Mavericks. If I would have told you that score before the game, knowing that Kawhi Leonard wasn't playing, I would have really figured it would have been the other way around. But the NBA is just crazy.
InGame Live, all access. Only on SportsGrid.
DraftKings making a progressive move, I think, that most other companies are also going to do or have done in the past. Adding someone from the government or someone you would say in legislation to become their responsible gaming leader here. And in this case, her name is Lori Kalani.
And it'll be interesting to see if other companies try to follow suit in terms of hiring former lobbyists to head responsible gaming.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
No, it is not a Friday, but it feels like a Friday. What's up, InGame Live Prime Time? Dave Sharapan, Matt Perrault with you here on SportsGrid. We got 2 hours rolling through hockey and baseball. Dave's got the Rays stuff on, but my boy Devers, make it 6. 6 in a row, Sharapan. He goes long. The first Red Sox player ever to go in 6 straight games, and the Red Sox are up on the Rays. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
I'm good. I'm impressed. We talked about this earlier. You know what the record is. This is going to be fun. We got something to root for all week. I love when a guy does it. He does it with a little bit of flair. I don't know if you've seen the video, but he flipped the bat. Yeah. He gave a little look back to the dugout. It's fun. And it's Dinger Tuesday tomorrow, so it will be probably the most bet guy of the entire league tomorrow for Dinger Tuesday. That's what everybody does it. Content people, bettors, people that watch SportsGrid. No, it's not Friday. It's Monday. We're here. There's all baseball in one Game 7. Love the Game 7. Is that why you're wearing the blue tonight? Why are you wearing the blue?
I am wearing the blue tonight for the Vancouver Canucks, although you could kind of make it for the Oilers too. They're a blue color as well, but right. I like Vancouver tonight. I like the under tonight. I got 6. It's 5.5 or 45 minutes or so away from the dropping of the first puck or the opening of the puck there for Game 7 between these two teams. It's kind of a bummer for Canada because we know that one of their teams get bounced, but they will have a representative in the Western Conference Finals. So in case you guys don't know, 1993, I was a sophomore, junior in high school. The last time the Canadian teams won the Stanley Cup. I'm now 47 years old. I'm getting old. It's a long time ago, everybody. The last time a Canadian team hoisted Lord Stanley's Cup. So one of these teams tonight, Dave, will at least have their chances pushed to the next level with a Final Four appearance.
Yeah. It's interesting, too, because, Vancouver's such a big home dog tonight, and I don't know why. I guess they got, one big injury guy out, but this is going to be a really good game. I don't think we see, like we did Saturday, big blowout, 5-1 victory for Edmonton. I don't think that happens. If Vancouver gets a lead, I think we see it close, right? Under. If Edmonton gets the lead, this thing may open up and go over. But the way the series has gone, I don't even think a 2-goal lead is safe. So, yeah, the back half of the show tonight, we'll be watching the first period, see if there's some betting opportunities between these two teams. Anybody that's going, like Morency's going. When's the last time you were at a Game 7? Anything?
The same year that the Bruins beat the Canucks in the Cup final in Game 7. When the Bruins beat the Montreal Canadiens in Game 7.
You were in the building for that?
In 2011. I was there. I had insane seats. I was center ice, about 5 rows up from the ice for that game. Yeah, I had really good seats for that game. That's the last Game 7 I was at. And it happens, and the Bruins walked into Vancouver, and they beat the Canucks in Game 7, and then the city burned. So can we avoid making it look like something out of the Dark Knight tonight, please, guys? Like, if you lose, just lose, okay? Like, let's not burn the city to the ground. I don't need a couple making out on the cement again like last time. That picture became iconic. Do you remember that picture?
I do, now that you said it. I do.
Remember the picture?
I had forgotten about it.
The couple that was right in front of the police line with the tear gas flying, and they decided to just fall on the ground and kiss each other. So that was an iconic photo. I mean, they went and found where he was and where she was. They were in a long-distance relationship. It shows you it didn't matter, like, what's going on in the world. There's a riot going on, but I'm seeing my girlfriend, and that's all that really matters. So, here we go with that. So
hopefully we won the Cup. Yeah, the Cup could bring that type of emotion.
They lost the Cup.
I thought they were Bruin fans.
No, they weren't Bruins fans. No, she lived there. He was an American. She was a Canadian. He was traveling up to see her. And then it didn't matter what was going on. They just, the emotions got to them both. So,
I thought they were Boston fans. I thought that's what made that picture the way it was.
No. That was not Bruins fans. No. That was in Vancouver. She was a Canadian. They just thought they were just overcome with emotion for that. So, we'll see. Anybody you like to score tonight? Anybody you think could put it? I mean, Connor McDavid, if you like the Oilers to win tonight, is it McDavid to score tonight a good play?
That's exactly what Kevin just said on Game Time Decisions. He literally just met, that was one of his plays tonight, was to play McDavid, because he scores in big games. He scores in Game 7s. So he only has 2 goals this whole playoffs. So you might be getting shortchanged a little bit on plus 145. But I mean, the price is right for JT Miller, right? The best Canadian guy. I mean, the best Canuck guy to score, probably him. I don't know who else I would take. There's so many Oilers on the list. I mean, that list had 8 guys, and 5 of them were Oilers, and they're all the first 3 guys. So the only other one is, I mean, just if you don't pick McDavid, I think you have to pick Draisaitl. One of those 2 are scoring, if not both.
He's nicked up, though. So are you okay with betting on Draisaitl, given he's not fully healthy?
I am.
Okay.
I think he
scares me a little bit.
He's that guy. This is Game 7, Perrault. You remember. They're going to play. Hurt, nicked up, dinged up, whatever you want to call it. Get out there, Leon. Get in front of the net. Let Connor feed you the puck, finish the play, put it in the net. So, yeah, I think those are the 2 guys. You got to ride the horses at this point.
It's interesting. I mean, I think this game, the pace of this game is going to be such a dictating force. If it's open, back and forth, up and down, all Oilers. If it's tight and slowly played, if we see, the referees put the whistles in their pocket, just let it all play out and not get involved and don't give power plays. I mean, Vancouver's at home. I mean, this is why you play all year long. You play all year to have a home ice advantage, to have it in your building, in your barn. Now, obviously, they would rather have their starting goaltender in net tonight, but the kids played well enough. 3-2 win. Which team wins it? I lean Vancouver, but I think it's a 3-2 win for one of the 2 teams here. I think the final score is tight, slow. I don't think the Oilers are going to win it 5-1. I don't think we see a repeat of Game 6, and I don't think that Vancouver's going to kill Edmonton either. I don't think it's 5-1 the other way either.
I agree. I think it might get you with the totals at empty netter, right? If it's 3-2 with
it's a push. Yeah.
4 minutes.
No, I would not play 5.5. 5.5. Once they hit 5.5, it's not playable. It was 6.5 at some books at open, which has been pretty much the rinse and repeat number for this whole series. And the first 3 games cleared it with ease. Second 3 games, dead or under push. So it's or under 6.5. So it's, as the series has gone on, like we know, we see fewer power plays, and the shifts become, more competitive. The coaches know which matchups they want. It's more difficult to score. So in a game 7, no one wants to make that mistake. Everybody wants to play solid defense and to only take advantage of odd man rushes when they're clearly in front of you. So Oilers are going to have to, if they score first, I think you're right. The game, it could open up and it could really benefit Edmonton. But if Vancouver scores first, they may just try to sit on this thing. They may just say, look, we're going to try to win this game 2-0.
I think so. Like, that's been the MO. But I think they got to keep playing. I just think, like, they can't play not to lose. If they get a lead, we got one, we got to get 2. 2, everybody will be able to breathe a little bit. I don't think they can sit on the lead. And if they do, it's an opportunity for Edmonton to score quicker. I think we're going to have multiple betting opportunities in this game. I don't think the team that scores first wins a game. Like, it'll go back and forth.
Interesting. So that game will start here at the top of the hour in about 45 minutes, 50 minutes or so for game 7 for the right to go take on Dallas in the Western Conference Finals. We know it's going to be Rangers and the Panthers on the Eastern side of things. We can get into that a little bit later on in the program. We'll take a look at baseball as well. 3-1 Guardians. Red Sox up 5-0. Yankees up 2-0 on the Mariners. More to come in game live primetime. Sharapan, Perrault. Don't move. Monday here on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify in these majors. You got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness. And I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Braves Padres game 2. 3-0 lead for the Braves. It is in-game live primetime. Dave Sharapan, Matt Perrault with you here on SportsGrid. Got baseball on the docket. We've got records looking to come down here in a game 7 at the top of the hour between Vancouver and Edmonton. Look, it's interesting to look at teams because, look, this is baseball drives me nuts, right? So I got off to a very good start, Dave, betting baseball, and now I'm dead cold. I'm ice cold again, which is just typical betting baseball. So I bet the under in the Braves game because the Braves had gone 21-3-1 to the under over the previous 24 games in the first game.
Okay.
5-0 lead for the Braves. They give up 6 runs, turns into an absolute over machine. I'm on the over for Milwaukee and Miami right now. It's 2-0. 2-0 right now.
Mm.
That game in the top of the 7th inning. So I bet
Yeah.
over 8.5 in that game. So I'm most likely dead there too. So it would be 5 straight losses. I would hit 5 straight in baseball Thursday, Friday. Now coming up here into Saturday, Monday, 5 straight losses for baseball. It's how this thing goes.
Baseball
Just how it goes.
betting is streaky. It's exactly how it goes. Just keep your lead momentum that you did early in April. We'll get that mojo back going into Memorial Day weekend. Then you'll be fine. I have a feeling everything's going to be fine. The middle of the week games, I like better the second and third games of the series than the first games of the series. A lot of times those are tougher. That's tonight for a lot of these series. So I don't know. I mean, tonight's slate, you got Boston beating Tampa. I like Tampa. Yankees in Seattle.
I like the under. I like the under in Boston, Tampa more than anything else, and that's in jeopardy.
That is,
although it's still
jeopardy
7.5 though. It's still 7.5 live. Juice to the under.
Oh.
That's surprising.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
Tanner
your
Hawk
guy.
Tanner Hawk's been great. We talked about it on BVB, but Tanner Hawk has just been a bad luck pitcher. He's pitched really well. They've lost 4 of 5 for Tanner Hawk on the mound for the Red Sox. It's like not his fault. He's losing 3-2, 4-3. Like it's not his fault why they're losing. So they're finally giving him some run support here tonight, up 5-0. So he should be on his way to get a win here. And the Red Sox will have won back-to-back games for the first time in a while. But it's still 5.5. So Tampa's not scoring at all. 7.5 live total.
1
game close. 7.5.
When you do that number, like you see it, it's actually a little low. It should be 8.5.
Right.
So yeah, that's somebody being stubborn, going, well, I guess the Rays aren't scoring at all, because you figure them to at least score 1.
The under is minus 152. It's not like it's cheaply priced to the under. It's heavy on the under.
No. They're waiting to move it. They're waiting to move it again. Yeah, he's going to pitch a shutout. That's what that's telling me. Whoever's doing that game thinks that's a shutout. It may have been, advancing the ball a little quickly. Minnesota, Washington, good game. I got that one. Let's see. What
7-3 Nats.
3-1.
No, 7-3 Nats.
When did that happen? Just now? Wow. Hit refresh. Hello.
It's 7-3. Not a good game. Nationals top of the 6th though. You got 2 on and 1 and 2 out for the Twins. So trying to claw their way back into that one. 3-1 Guardians over the Mets. That game in the bottom of the 8th inning. Looks like Cleveland will go there. 1-0 Royals in the middle of the 3rd between them and the Tigers. No score. Orioles Cardinals in the bottom of the 2nd, and 1-0 Angels over the Astros. We've got Diamondbacks and Dodgers coming up. Yamamoto on the bump for the Dodgers. Mantiply going for the Diamondbacks. Minus 240. We are approaching that price, Dave, where it's just every time the Dodgers and the Astros, or every time the Dodgers play, their numbers are creeping up and up and up, and we're seeing higher prices, money line prices between the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. Minus 240. Any interest in that, or do we go with the over 8.5 for D-backs Dodgers?
As soon as you get the pitching change in that situation, because it wasn't him listed early, and you throw him in there, there's guys immediately to just push the Dodger button, and you have to move it up. Am I interested in it? To keep an eye on it, I think I'd rather play the total, but I don't even know which way. What's your first thought on the total? Under's the first thought for me. I don't want Arizona.
Run line D-backs is my first thought for the game. Like
take the 1.5. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
With Yamamoto on the mound. Yeah.
It's crazy because the computer here picks him at 64% to win, and I would think it would be a little bit higher based on the price. The other game with the Southern California team, the Angels at Houston. Houston's rolling. We were ready to bury them not that long ago, and they've won, I think, 9 of their last 11, something like that. They've been pretty good. Bigger favorites here, percentage-wise, by the computer, and the price is actually smaller because the Angels, according to our friend Ralph Michaels, who I got this from today, and I didn't have it handy right now, but they're the second best team in the league against lefties, money-wise. And facing
It's
Valdez
1-0
tonight,
Angels
you
already.
would think they're winning 1-0.
Yep, top of the first.
Top of the first. Hello.
Already scored. So they got to Framber already, which is somewhat surprising.
Okay.
Got to Framber already. So it's just a bad year for the Astros. They're 500 at home. They're 13-13 at home. Angels are 12-13 on the road. They're 18-29. I mean, all I can say is about the Angels, Dave, is as this drip comes out with the Ohtani news and different infielders, I'm just like, are we going to get a big name on the Angels get listed? Because if that happens, all bets are off. I mean, we start talking about all sorts of nasty things with this story.
Yeah.
It could get bad for the Angels. It could get really ugly for the
name
Angels.
On the Angels. That's it. Like, who would that even be?
I don't know.
I mean, there's one big name on the Angels now.
I'm just saying there's one name on that team that everyone's holding their breath on going,
oh no.
Just saying we need to see who's going to be listed because it's going to be a drip. And we already got one name over the weekend. We're going to get a bunch more that are going to come up and be put out there at some point in the future. And this story's MLB wants this thing to go away so badly. I just don't think it's going away anytime soon, unfortunately, for Major League Baseball. It's going to be part of the conversation all year long. We'll take a look at some prices for the series in basketball on the other side. Don't move. Matt and Dave with you. It is a Monday night right here on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
In-game live on a Monday, Dave Sharapan and Matt Perrault. We've got a bunch of cool stuff coming up. George Kurtz will be joining us, watching baseball, little Yankees, little hockey with Kurtzy as well. Stick around for all that coming up here during this hour of the program. All right, Dave, my Boston Celtics are monster favorites against the Indiana Pacers. Knicks do not get it done. Bing bong bounced, and they got to figure out what to do now where they're going. Pacers are the biggest dogs in the Eastern Conference Finals since the 2017 season. Is this price right? Should Boston be this big of a favorite against the Indiana Pacers? This seems excessive.
I think you got to start with the fact that the way it was set up was talking to a bunch of people with the Knicks being favored was what was the price going to be on the Celtics for the Knicks series, and what was the price going to be for Game 1. So you look at the Game 1 price for the Celtics against the Pacers, and I was going back and forth with a couple guys that work in the risk rooms here in town and one elsewhere, and I said just make it 9.5 because if you make it 10, you're getting the Pacers bet. Well, that's what they wanted. They wanted to find the top first. So they did it with the series price too. Now that tells me they did it like that with the intention that the Celtics are going to win Game 1. The same arguments, except for they ran out of healthy players, applies to the Pacers. 7-game series, multiple trips back and forth. The Celtics been rested, and they had a smooth, easy series against the Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell sat the last few games. It wasn't really pressing at any point. So there it is. Game 1, Celtics win. They were hardly pressed in this series. So
same thing with the Heat, though. It's same exact. It was the same road against Miami.
It's
blow out Game 1, lose Game 2. Yeah, you lose Game 2, 3-4 wins. Right. I mean, Boston hasn't lost a road game yet in the playoffs. They're 4-0 on the road.
Are they going to win both games? They're not. They're not undefeated in this series on the road.
I don't know. I'm just saying, if it goes by the same way, Boston will kill Indiana on Wednesday or Thursday, whichever that game gets played. Game 1, right? Wednesday. They kill them on Wednesday. They'll lose Game 2. They'll win Game 3 and 4.
Sorry, they play tomorrow.
Okay,
Pacers and Celtics play tomorrow. The Western Conference starts on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So what do you say? Same pattern: win Game 1. Lose Game 2, win Game 3?
I'm just saying Boston wins this thing in 5 or 6. So it's maybe 5, maybe 4. It's not crazy. This is if Porzingis plays by Game 3,
is in play.
Sure, yeah, it's in play. Yeah, definitely. I don't think it'll happen, but it's in play. I mean, the NBA will want. I don't think the NBA will allow it to happen. I think you'll see certain referees working certain games to make sure that doesn't happen. But I mean, because Boston's going to sit. Look at when the NBA Finals start. If Boston sweeps, Boston can go to Cancun and come back and keep playing. I mean, they're going to have a week and a half off. So this is not the NBA does not want a 4-game sweep in the Eastern Conference Finals. They do not want that.
They're not getting a sweep. Indiana's going to win a game.
Yeah,
I think Indiana's going to win
a game.
Yeah,
maybe maybe there's a maybe attached to that. I'm not saying no. I think Boston in 6 is probably the best bet. If you're going to bet a game, bet in exacta as to how this series is going to go. But if Porzingis plays by Game 3, it's all she wrote. Like, forget it. He's the X factor that Indiana has no answer for.
Well, would you play him if you're up 2-0?
Yeah,
you win both games at home, and he says, "All right, yeah, I'm ready." Like, do you need to play him then? Like, I know the first time you want to play him is not in the NBA Finals.
NBA Finals.
But, like,
no.
I don't know if I want to play him in a series that I don't think I'm going to need him.
Fair. No, I think you would put him out there in spurts. You wouldn't play him. You wouldn't start him. You wouldn't have him play big minutes. But you got to get game time experience with the guy. You cannot have him go up against Minnesota, which I think it will be Minnesota, but maybe Dallas in the Western Conference or in the NBA Finals up against the Western Conference champion. That can't be the first game action he sees in a month and a half. Like that's a really bad idea. You need him playing playoff basketball. He's got to be able to play and get some just wind, get hit, get contacted, like figure out the way the game's going to get played in playoff basketball. So you want him in this series at some point, but it looks like Game 1, Game 2, he's not playing. Most likely Game 3 in Indy will be the first time that Porzingis plays. And frankly, that's when Boston probably needs him the most. They're not going to need him at home, most likely, unless they do what they've done, which is fall asleep in Game 2.
Every game's going over, isn't it?
I'll tell you about my favorite bet on that game for Game 1 on the other side, because I can't get over the price and can't get over the number for Game 1 tomorrow night. We'll get to that and more. Don't move. Matt and Dave with you here on SportsGrid.
fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It is a Monday night here on SportsGrid. Dave Sharapan and Matt Perrault with you as we talk some basketball, some baseball. We got Game 7 in hockey coming up. We're going to talk to George Kurtz coming up later on. Lots of good things still to come here on this Monday night jaunt. But, Dave, you're the book guy. You got to explain this to me for a second. So the Boston Celtics in the first half at home have been one of the more aggressive and prolific scoring teams this season.
Correct.
Indiana has given up 155 points to Boston this season.
In a game.
But the first half team total for Boston tomorrow night is 59.5. Like, what am I missing?
It never fails. There's just certain things that numbers guys, books just take numbers and plug and play. And they don't. Like, there are times where somebody in the room or somebody upstairs has to send a message and say, are you watching the games? Like, you have to adjust at the beginning rather than at the end. So did every game go over against the Knicks? It's the Knicks with the Pacers, right? Almost every game went over.
Almost every game did, yeah.
Numbers, and the numbers kept coming down. We were talking about it here. We were talking about it on BVB, talking about it on every show I do with you here at SportsGrid, going, I don't understand it. This one perplexed me.
In the games in New York, every game in New York, but one was 3-1 to the over in New York. This game's in Boston. So on the road, you've got the Pacers going over by 21.5, over by 32.5, over by 32.5, under by 6. So when it went over, it flew over. 206.5 in game 7, 130-109. That was over by 32.5 points. In game 5, it went under because the Pacers only scored 91 points. They got killed 121-91. But in game 1 and game 2, game 1 was 216.5, over by 21.5 points. Game 2 was 218.5, over by 32.5 points. I mean, I don't understand.
Comfortably over.
And Boston scored 120 in game 1 against Cleveland at home, and that game went over by 3.5 points. That was with a 211.5 total. So This game total at 222. I get it being high, but I don't. Celtics first half team total is my favorite bet for the game tomorrow. It's probably only play I'll make tomorrow is Boston over 59.5.
Total over 59.5. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, score 60 points. I mean, you start going through the schedule of what Boston did this year against Indiana. I mean, look, in game one, I know it was in November, okay? But game one, Boston scored 155 points against Indiana.
Okay, throw that one out. Throw that one out.
Throw that one out. All right. So then the second time they played, Boston went on the road, lost the game 122-112 in that game.
Over.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that game went under. It was 245.5 was the total in that game.
The total in the game was 245.5 close.
Yeah.
The same two teams are playing 6 months later, and it's 222. I know
so
it's
Boston,
the playoffs.
So, Dave, the second and the third and the fourth games were 250 and 246. And the game that was 246, 133-131. Game went over by 18 points.
Yeah, see, this is where I have to call 20-second timeout and say, okay, guys, what numbers are you using? Because you're not using any of the numbers that happened between these two teams. These are 4 high-scoring games. Like every game was high-scoring.
It gets better. It gets better. On the 30th of January in Boston, Celtics win the game 129-124. The total was 249, and it still went over by 4 points. In Boston, same two teams.
See, that's where I mean, you have to look at that and go, we may have over-adjusted. Like, put it a little closer. I know it's the playoffs, different game, yes, different teams maybe, but maybe a lot of the same. That's 23 points difference from some of the totals in a game.
You can tell me it's playoffs if you want, but all you got to do is go to game 1 and game 2 against New York on the road, 121-117, 130-121. Those are not low-scoring games. And then in the first round against Milwaukee, in game 2, it was 125-108. In game 3, it was 121-118. In game 4, it was 126-113. I don't know what the books are doing. Like, what are we doing with this number? These numbers don't make any sense. This is not going to be a low-scoring series. Why are we talking about this? I mean, blowout Boston, that's what this says. Boston kills them. Indiana doesn't score?
Yes, the perception. That's it. I was just going to say. So now compare that to the other series. Look at the Western Conference and look at the odds for the Western Conference and how close it is. And
well, it's a totally different series, though.
Exactly. So now
Dallas, Minnesota, it's 207. So
way low.
If you look at, game 7 between OKC and Dallas went over by 24.5 points, 117-116. It's 208.5. And then game 7 against Denver and Minnesota, it was 98-90. Game went under by 13 points with a total of 201 at close. That was as low as 196.5 at certain books before that game. It came back up, but everyone was betting under in that game for sure, which I got because Denver was an under team at home this year dramatically. Game 6 went under, game 7 went under. I mean, this series to me, my gosh. I mean, how do they get back up for game 1? Don't you play Dallas in game 1? Feels like there's going to be like an emotional letdown here for the Timberwolves.
You would think so. But if you ask 10 people, 7 are going to say play Minnesota. Minimum.
Yeah, because they're the public dog favorite right now. Everyone loves Minnesota right now. They're the darlings. Anthony's next Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So I'll go against the public on that, and I'll take Dallas to win game 1.
What a series price reflects that it's going to be a split. I think.
Okay.
I think that's why this is what it is. I would actually probably use it a little bit lower. I'd have had 160 was my number when I was texting last night with some people.
Dallas Mavericks, by the way, were 31-16 ATS on the road this year.
On the road, right? Good road team.
Dallas is a tremendous road team. I like Dallas in game 1, plus the points money line.
Okay. Okay.
I think you're going to see an emotional letdown here. Dallas is walking in. I know they played a game 7, but nowhere near what just happened. Nowhere near the emotional, just what went on here for a very young basketball team that has not been here before to the Western Conference Finals, taking down the defending champs and everyone. You're the BMOC in the city. Forget the campus. Yeah. You're the city. You're the big men of the city, state, whatever. Thing. I mean, everyone is talking how great you are right now. Feels like this is where you just come out and you're a little flat. You're just not. You don't match the intensity of Kyrie and Luka, guys who have been here before, who've been in the league for a while.
Who do you want to see as a Celtics guy? If the Celtics beat the Pacers, who's the better opponent for the Celtics to win the championship?
Dallas. It's not even close. Give me Porzingis revenge series. Absolutely, it's Dallas.
Oh, I didn't even think of that angle.
100%. Oh. Give me Dallas. Give me Luka. Give me Porzingis scoring on Luka and dunking on Luka. It would be tremendous. You got a fired up KP if that happens. Yes, I want Dallas. I'm not going to see Dallas. I'm going to see Minnesota. But you can bet Dallas to win game 1, Minnesota to win the series. It's not a bad plus price. It's not horrible. If you want to go and jump on that, I don't mind that. I think that's my prediction. Dallas win game 1. T-Wolves win the series. They win the Western Conference. Maybe 7. Curtsy on the other side. Don't move. Matt and Dave with you. It's a Monday right here on SportsGrid.
Are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify in these majors. You got to go do it, man. And it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
In-game live on a Monday night. Dave Sharapan, Matt Perrault. Let's welcome in George Kurtz. Let's talk some hockey and baseball. Look at the red on Jersey. Hey, who wins tonight? Great. Vancouver, big dogs at home, or Edmonton finally gets back to the Western Conference Finals? Where are you on this Game 7 tonight?
I think it's very hard to feel all that comfortable about either team, right? Because just when you think one team has a hold of the series, they play like crap the next game. How does Vancouver only have 15 shots on goal in Game 6? Against a goalie who had lost pretty much all his confidence here and looked shaky in the first period? You're not putting any rubber on him. Made no sense to me here. So listen, I was on Edmonton before the series started. I have them in 7 here, so I'm not going to change my mind now. And I am going to have a bet on Edmonton to win the game tonight as well. It'll be a smaller bet here. So I think it's the Edmonton Oilers, but do I feel great about it? No. I feel better after finding out that Brock Besser yesterday, right? We found that he's not going to play tonight. Very reminiscent of Game 3 for the Colorado Avalanche. Granted, Colorado found out 2 hours before game time that Nichushkin had a relapse and he wouldn't play. But Besser's an important part to that team. If you're having trouble scoring and putting offense, and now you lose what might have been your best scorer this entire season, Taka's already come out and pretty much said, hey, Pettersson, you suck. You better play better. Right? He did have an assist since then, but I don't see how you can feel confident about Vancouver. Home ice hasn't meant anything. Right? So I don't know how you can feel confident about Vancouver tonight. I'm on the Oilers.
Yeah. It makes sense. It's a lot closer to me than the line would indicate. I don't feel comfortable with either really side. What about the total, George? I mean, we talked about it a little bit before, Matt and I. Vancouver gets a lead. They're going to sit on it and keep it down, low scoring, or leaning over. There's your Kurtz's NHL play is for the side, is Edmonton. What about the total, George?
You know me, Dave. When it comes to the Edmonton Oilers, you got a 5.5. Either you're taking the over or I'm not taking it. All right, it's that simple for me. I'm going to go over here. It is a Game 7 elimination. Yeah, it was a 2-1. Hey, if it's a 2-1 game, even late, you might get 3 empty net goals. What is Vancouver going to care about? Or Edmonton, if they're the ones down, right? Losing 5-1, 4-1, 6-1, 8-1, doesn't matter. You're still lost here. And I think more goals will be scored than that. I mean, I don't trust Skinner. I just don't. You have to think Vancouver is going to do a better job of putting more pucks on net. And, Chilov, she wanted the Magic's run out there. Little surprised. Now, I'm the first person to tell you, even if Demko's healthy, I can't put him into Game 7. The man hasn't played in 3 weeks to a month. You can't really do that. But I'm surprised Tocchet knocked it down so quickly yesterday. Right? Usually, you know what? They want to leave the other teams guessing. Oh, he might play tonight. We'll see. Yeah, he had his head amputated, but there's a chance he could play. That sort of thing. But he said right away no. So that was a surprise to me. That being said, like I said, I do think the refs are going to be very quiet tonight. It's Game 7, right? Maybe the 2 best words in the English language. They're not going to want to be a part of it. So that could take away some goal-scoring opportunities, right? The power plays may not be up there as they normally would, and I am concerned about that somewhat. But the bottom line is this. I can't bet at Edmonton under. I can't do it. No. I got 2 goalies. I don't think either one's all that great here. No, I'm going the over.
I think it's correlated. I think it's, if you like the Oilers, you like the over. You like Vancouver, you like the under. I got 6 last night, so I think there's a good push potential with the 4-2 final. But if Vancouver does win this game, could you see it going under, even under 5.5, if Vancouver does win this game?
Matt, I think you make a great point. I call them companion bets, right? And I think you're right. If you want Everton, then you're probably looking at a higher scoring game. Vancouver, I don't think I could see Vancouver winning a 5-4 game, right? I don't think I see them winning a shootout. Yeah, great. I don't. So it probably is more 2-1, 3-2. So I would agree with you there 100%. Maybe 2-2 going into overtime is something I can truly see Vancouver, because they need to play a different kind of game. They play a wide open, even when Brests are healthy, they need to play a more disciplined game here. When Brests are out, listen, you get into a shootout with Everton, you're probably going to lose.
Who's scoring tonight, George? Anytime goal odds are kind of all over the place, but there's a lot of Oilers at the top of the list. I was on with K-Dub earlier on Game Time Decisions. He said Connor McDavid. Matt and I kind of talked it out that if you like Edmonton, you almost have to do a Connor McDavid ticket. Anybody else on that list jump out to you?
See, I don't think McDavid, if I'm going to do McDavid, it wouldn't be for an anytime goal scorer. He's not scoring goals. He's handing out assists. So I think you're going to play him with points. Play him over 1.5. Hell, play him over 2.5 points. You get better odds there. So I'm not going to play him to score a goal. I'm just not. My favorite play all season long when betting on the Oilers to win a game against lesser competition has been the Oilers to win and parlay that with Zach Hyman. Now, that being said, a lot of those Hyman goals were power play goals. And I already said I don't think there are going to be a lot of power plays tonight. But that's still where I lean with Hyman. But, we need plus 110? Are you kidding me? We should get a better price than that. I'll take Draisaitl. I'm getting what am I getting, 15 cents more? Right, $1.25 or $1.20, 10 cents more. So I'll go with Draisaitl over Hyman there. But I think those are your goal scorers. I think McDavid's going to be looking to pass it off to Hyman and Draisaitl. So I'll take one of those two. Evander Kane at plus 300. How is he not more than that? I don't think that's fair either. As far as Vancouver, It's got to be Pedersen, right? I mean, doesn't it have to be Pedersen? Doesn't he? He's a star, maybe a superstar. He's got to step up his game here. That being said, I feel better about JT Miller.
True. What do you make of Draisaitl and whether he's more than nicked up? I know it's Game 7, everyone's going to play, but there were some questions about him even playing in this game. I know it's Game 7, but do you feel comfortable backing either any prop on Draisaitl knowing that he's not anywhere near 100%?
Yeah, I think he is nicked up, right? I do think he's got something wrong with him. I think Hyman's nicked up too, by the way. They say even McDavid might be banged up. Now, I know everyone's banged up. It's the playoffs. Well, we mean more than that. More than just normal banging. I think there is something wrong with his regular season. Draisaitl, yeah, he might miss a game or two. I wouldn't be surprised about that. That being said, he's got such a great shot. Whatever it is, I think it might be more of a lower body than something that's affecting his hands or his wrist. So I think he can shoot just fine here. It just comes down to me. I can't bet McDavid. He's the best player in the world, but he's not shooting. He's just passing. And if he's passing the puck, it's either Hyman or Draisaitl. Take your choice. Listen, it's only a dime difference. You take your choice there. I'm going with Draisaitl over Hyman tonight. You want to call it a gut feel, but I'm the first person to tell you all season long, Hyman's been my guy. I'm not an Oilers fan. I should go out and buy a Hyman jersey because he's been that good for me.
Plus 110, though.
Boy.
My gosh. Price is not even that good on him.
It's not. That's the problem. We'll get to the
Plus
baseball
110.
after
It's
the
like,
break.
yeah. We will be back after a quick timeout. We got baseball, Yankees in action. We'll take a look at what's going on with the Mets. Red Sox are rolling 5-0. Red Sox are going to shut out. Going to shut out the Rays.
Yeah.
How about that? Yeah. We'll get to those baseball scores and look at the slate late night tonight as well. George, Matt, Dave, don't move. More to come. SportsGrid on a Monday.
Are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
George Kurtz, Dave Sharapan, Matt Perrault, we are with you on SportsGrid here on a Monday. Kurtz, Rafael Devers, 6 straight games. First Red Sox ever to do it. Teddy Williams never did it. 6 straight games with a home run. Tomorrow, 7-8 is the Major League record. Do you bet him tomorrow? It was 3-1 tonight when he got the 2-run jack. Devers to hit a home run tomorrow night? Yes or no?
I don't know who's pitching for Tampa Bay offhand here, but I am a streak player. I believe you play streaks. All right, because you can only be wrong once. He doesn't hit a home run, fine, it's over, and we go back to normal here. So yes, why not? And listen, I'm a Yankee fan. Don Mattingly is one of the guys who hit 8 in 8 straight games. Like Ken Griffey and I want to say Dale Long, I believe, are the top 3 or 3 guys who have done it there. So there you go. But so yeah, I'll play. Listen, we're not talking big money yet. Throw a little couple of ducats on it. See what happens here. The man's hot.
Zach Littell or Little or how that's who's pitching tomorrow.
Littell.
Not bad. He's not a bad pitch for Tampa Bay. I hate that ballpark. Maybe he'll put up the catwalks or something stupid like that. That stadium needs to be imploded.
Amen.
I hate that stadium.
Amen.
It's awful.
Amen.
Come on. It's awful.
It's all Red Sox fans
awful.
too.
Might shoot down there and see a game. I have never seen a game in there.
I have.
So
I got family in Tampa.
You're not missing much.
There's no way. The reason why everybody hates it, Dave, because there's only like one lane to get in and out. It's just death. It's death.
Oh.
My family lives in the Tampa area, and a couple of them are racing. They won't go because it takes like 3 years to get in and out. You think the Bronx is bad? Go to Tampa Bay.
Oh, that's right. You went down there last year. You drove down. That's right. You drove down.
Now we're driving down there in November again this year. Maybe go see the Bucks.
Okay. There you go. Well, what about tonight? The Dodgers, Yamamoto. I feel like every time we do the show and you come on, the Dodgers price just gets higher and higher and higher. Tonight, Mantiply is the pitcher of record right now for Arizona. 8.5's the total is what I got. There's some 8s around. George, you've been dubbed as Captain Chalk here. You're laying it, aren't you? You have a ticket on the Dodgers, don't you?
Well, I've got the run line, right? It's okay. I'll take the minus 118. I think that's why you play with Dodgers.
I think that's the play. I agree.
I am not going to lay minus 240. All right, I'm not suicidal. Well, sometimes, but not tonight. I'm in a good mood tonight. I'll be in a great mood if Everton wins. By the way, sorry, Gabe, but I have money on. I have money on the Oilers. It's a good thing we're not on Rage tonight, right? Because probably he might come through the screen. I think Cam's on Everton too. Gabe might strangle both of us if he could.
Right.
So, but yes, I'm on the run line. That's how I normally play how I normally play with Dodgers. I can't lay 240 unless you're going to parlay it. And I have no problem with the parlay. And, how about a little parlay? Or I have a parlay. So I got it with the Astros. I already have a parlay with the Dodgers here. How's that working? Astros winning 4-1, so it's good. And, Matt, I was complaining during the break about how the Yankees, all night long, it's good for my under. They hit so many double plays tonight with the runner on third. They just did it again. Bases loaded, 1 out.
Wow.
Giancarlo Stanton, double play. Thank you, Giancarlo. Yankees are winning 3-0. I'm a Yankee fan, good, and I'm my under. I said the Yankees have done a great job for unders tonight because they've done this now, I think, 3 separate times. Bounced into a double play with the runner on third and less than 2 outs.
How about that? That is okay. Interesting stuff there. Would you? We're talking about this during the break too. So I have a 27-1 ticket on Vancouver to win it all. Game 7 tonight. I like Vancouver. I'm more inclined to bet Vancouver, but should I take a piece of the Oilers to win the Cup? Is that the better way to play it? It's not. The price isn't great. It's only like 2-1 on Edmonton to win the Cup. Is it worth taking a piece out of Edmonton to win it all?
It's a mathematical, right? You got to figure out how much is it worth to you. Now, you already sort of answered your own question. When we talked about this during the break, I didn't realize you believe Vancouver was going to win. If I believe Vancouver is going to win, then I'm probably not hedging. Right? It's just that simple. I am a go for broke guy. That being said, I think Edmonton's winning. So therefore, I would hedge if I had a Vancouver ticket here because I want to make sure I get a good part of this. I don't want to be. I come midnight Eastern. I don't want to be ripping my sheetrock out because things didn't work out the way I wanted to.
So the aggravation avoidance bet. If you even ask Vinny, just lay to 160 with Edmonton tonight. 160 to win 1 unit. And that way, if it loses, you win 26-1 on the Canucks and you're still live.
I know, but I don't like it. I'm taking it's too early to take a piece of the hedge. It's 27-1. I'm going to let it run. Let it go.
I'm with
Let it breathe. Let it breathe.
Let me do it in game.
Right.
I'm going to in-game it. I'll take Edmonton for a cheaper price. It's too cheap. It's too expensive. George,
I
good
always feel
stuff, man.
bad now to be on Vancouver.
It's all right. It's all good. Go Oilers for you. I hope you catch it. For me, Vancouver, 27-1 ticket. Let's go. Got to win 8 more games after this, though. So know where they're going to win it. Dave and Matt back on the other side next year on SportsGrid.
fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start, so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
In-game live. It's a Monday. Dave Sharapan, Matt Perrault, SportsGrid. How are you? Thanks to George Kurtz coming in. End of the last hour. We'll get to Mark Zinno later on this hour of the program. Get some picks and thoughts on both the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals in the NBA. We do have basketball going on tonight. Caitlin Clark rolled her ankle for Indiana, but popped right back up after kind of walking it off. Look, are you following Indiana's 0-3? Okay, but people are saying you're watching the development of a rookie. It has Caitlin Clark gotten, each game got a little bit better. The books are getting a little sharper on the numbers. They were a little bit high on most of her props, points and 3-pointers and whatnot. She's hitting 2 or 3, threes a game here. I think she has 3 tonight. Is this going to be a sustainable thing? Are people going to be betting the WNBA in your mind this summer?
If the games are anything like this one is, yes. This has been really entertaining. I've had it on in the background while we've been talking. It's been back and forth. I got to go look and see. Like, I don't think each team even had more than an 8-point lead. So the back and forth, back and forth. Yes. The points scored for Caitlin Clark, she's 17 right now, and it's 20. So it's down to the end. There's a minute left. Is she going to get the ball again? She hits a 3. If you had 20, you push. You need another, bucket after that. Yes, this is going to get interest as we are coming upon what you like to call the heat of summer. Some people like to call it the dog days of summer. We only got one hockey game tonight. We're going to have one basketball game per night with the NBA with days off in between. And that leaves that thing that you love so much just staring at you, that baseball board every single day. So I will venture that you're going to look at the WNBA.
No, I don't know.
I'm telling you.
I don't know. I hope not. I look, I like watching it.
We're here
I have
in Vegas. We got the best team.
I know. Correct. And I'll probably bet Vegas games, but the thing with baseball and the thing with the WNBA, it's the same type of problem that I run into. I tend to like to watch before I bet. Like, I like to see how the games are being played. I like to see how the teams are defending each other. I like to see how the pitchers are being, run out there. What's the rotation? I just don't have enough time in the day when it comes to this time. Like June and July, I get more time to watch baseball. But like watching Caitlin Clark is fun, but there's multiple games. Like I'm not watching Seattle games. Like I'm not hunting out to watch games involving Seattle. I'm just not. Like I don't have time in the day to do that. So I've said this before. I think the WNBA is going to have a nice pop here in the month of May when it comes to betting. I don't think it's going to be sustained until the playoffs. I think people will come back to it at the end of the summer. I don't think they're going to have a huge betting, maybe Caitlin Clark games will be big. And depending on when and where the games are being played, TV audiences and thus people betting on the games that are on national TV. But I don't think this is going to be a gigantic pop in WNBA handle this year unless, like you're talking about, it's 82-82 with a minute to play. We get hyper-competitive games. The Fever haven't won a game yet. Caitlin Clark, if she loses this game, I think she lost 3 games last year at Iowa, right? I think maybe 4, including the final. She will have lost all 4 games that she's played so far in the WNBA if she loses to the Sun, who are 2-0 so far in the season. So, like, that's my only issue with the whole thing is that, like, she's a rookie. She's on not a great team. They had the first pick in the draft for a reason. It takes time. And fans are going to go in there wanting to bet Caitlin Clark and bet the Fever. And so far, 0-3 for Indiana.
Right. I'm not saying you're going to turn into a WNBA fan. I just think there's betting opportunities there, especially now with the numbers kind of being a little bit off, a little bit trying to find their way. Now, the last couple years, the numbers were getting better. Friend of the show, Motoy Pearson, has been big into the WNBA because of him being a Vegas kid and Vegas having a team. He started going to the games year 1, then found his way to being one of my favorite WNBA odds makers. And I always like to shoot ideas off of him or numbers off of him because he's doing them every day still. And it's the 2 top teams. It's the Aces and the New York Liberty, right? And everybody else. So right now, I think you have that as part of the problem of getting more. So now you have Caitlin Clark on a team that was at the bottom of the league, lower to mid-bottom or to bottom of the league. If they start winning, like you said, their games, especially on the road, are going to be big. All the home games look sold out. I mean, the joint is sold out. It's 84-84 with 30 seconds to go. So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, does it have more appeal to you betting on that than it does on like Milwaukee and Miami tonight in baseball?
No. I bet Milwaukee and Miami tonight in baseball.
You did. That's right.
Yeah, I bet that game. So, no, I mean, my frustration with baseball is like, doubleheader with the Braves. I bet under in game 1, it goes over 6-5. Game 2, 3-0. So like it's just that's my frustration with baseball is that you always feel like you're an inch or 2 away from being really successful, and there's always like 1 or 2 outings or 1 or 2 games, a pitcher, an out, a call, an umpire squeezes you in some form or fashion. So like, look. The Paul Skeens game that we went to when we saw Paul Skeens set the major league record with 7 straight, for a rookie, go 7 up and 7 down. No one's done that from a rookie perspective. And then the guy was incredible. Like he went 6 innings, no hits, 1 walk. He was incredible. His games are going to be must watch and must bet games.
Yes.
Like his games are going to be unders, and his games are going to be a ton of fun to watch. First 5s, strikeout props over. Like the Pirates every 5th day, they're going to be a team you're going to want to watch and a team you're going to want to bet.
I like all of everything you just said. Vinny and the boys did a great job with all the Paul Skeens pictures, graphics, everything there. That was fun. That game had a buzz. Well, 1, because it was the first time I was ever at Wrigley, but 2.
Everybody knew that.
But he's pitching. And so,
correct.
We got through 3 innings and he didn't give up a hit. 7 straight Ks to start the game. I was feeling it. I was pacing back and forth. I mean,
I told you. I watched the first inning.
You guys were saying it.
Well, you guys were eating. By the way, I said no hitter like 18 times, but that should surprise nobody if you watched this show before. But like I watched the first 3 batters. You guys were in eating still, and I came back in and I told you guys. I said he's not getting touched today. Like, it was so apparent. He was throwing 100-mile-per-hour fastballs. He was throwing 92-mile-per-hour sliders and splitters that were 95. Like, you weren't touching him. Everything he was throwing was in the strike zone and incredibly hard. It was awesome to watch. And the Cubs lineup is not very good anyway. So, like, you have a lineup that is lacking a lot of pop up against a power pitcher who, yes, it was awesome to watch. But for everybody who was saying, why did they take him out? He's got Tommy John written all over him. Power pitchers. This is what these guys unfortunately have happened to them over and over again. Baby him, baby him, baby him. So yes, 6 innings, 100 pitches, get him off the mound. They won the game 9-3. The problem is your bullpen is awful. So you can't bet full game unders involving the Pirates because your bullpen is so bad.
Again, the Pirates aren't even playing today and they're catching strays. Like that.
It's
this
a
is
fact,
not right.
though.
It's
a fact.
It's
you gotta
true.
watch out. It was 6 or 7-0 when Paul Skeens left the game. And then here come walk, hit, home run. It was like, what is going on? It was like, this is brutal. They couldn't throw a strike. They're up by 7 runs. And you start walking guys. It's like, come on, guys. Just come in. And even to get hit, just throw the ball over the plate. You can't walk, guys. So that's the problem with the Pirates.
The Marlins tied the Brewers, by the way.
Beautiful. Let's go extras.
So 2-2.
I'm on over 8.5. Let's go.
You might get it.
Let's get Ghost Runner help here.
You get it now.
Let's get Ghost Runner help. That'll be tremendous. What's the live total now? We're back at 5.5, 6.5. Let's get over 8.5. Let's go. Someone score 5.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify in these majors. You got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note of saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know, sometimes if you guys could get the microphones during the break, you guys would absolutely love what we come up with. Oh, my gosh. Matt Perrault and Dave Sharapan with you guys here on SportsGrid. Markson was going to join us here talking NBA basketball and baseball. Your Braves, you know, what's going on here? Everyone a little nervous at the offense with Atlanta?
Yeah, they are. I'm not really sure why when you're missing two of the biggest bats in your lineup in Sean Murphy and Austin Riley. I mean, you know, like, if you want to score runs, you need like good players who can hit. And those are two good players who can hit, and they're not in the lineup right now. And, you know, some of the folks here in Atlanta are trying to liken it to the fact that their former third base coach, Ron Washington, and their former first base coach, Eric Young, are now coaching in different places as to reasons why this team isn't hitting. Not really sure I see the correlation there, but I understand coaches can have an effect in the clubhouse and with guys on the team and things of that nature. But, whatever theory fans would like to use as to why the Braves aren't hitting, I suppose you can back that up. I mean, again, I would argue that's akin to the fact that your base coach is having an effect in your hitting is very similar to your ex-wife having an effect on your current dating life. I don't think that they're correlating in any size, way, shape, or form. In fact, your dating life should be better if you have an ex-wife.
I don't know about all that. I got a 20-year anniversary coming up next week, so I can't relate to that.
You know what? I got an ex-wife and a mortgage. That's it.
I have one of those.
You got a winner in baseball? You got a winner in baseball?
I got the Washington Nationals. Listen, this is how you know you are approaching rock bottom is when the Nationals are providing you with the most joy you have in life.
Yeah, potentially, But then again, I mean, in terms of, are you eating enough calories these days? Are we still on the shred, or are we back to eating normally again?
No, we're still on the shred. We're still. I mean, listen. I mean, if I can't be rich and I can't be good at anything, I may as well be good looking. I mean, that's
Can't really argue.
Control what you can control, gentlemen. Right? That's the only thing I can control these days.
Fair. I'll give it to you. Dodgers and the D-backs later tonight. Any thoughts? You said you're only betting on Dodgers run line. So Dodgers run line tonight? I would agree with you if you are.
I mean, why not? Like, listen, I would think when you get to these kind of prices where you're at, where you're better than a 2-1 favorite, the run line gets down so low that when you're in that minus 120, range or even less in certain spots for the minus 1.5. I mean, I don't think you can play it a better way. I just genuinely don't. For a team like the Dodgers that scores as much as they do, especially at home with Yamamoto on the mound tonight, you feel like there's a spot here for the Dodgers to bust out, especially since LA, for the last couple of games hasn't looked all that great. You feel like they're going to wake up now that they get back home. So, I think if you've wanted to be profitable this year, I think you look at the Dodgers run line, the Yankees run line, the Phillies run line, and now apparently the Washington Nationals run line, and even the Washington Nationals on the money line because they seem to be winning more than most people expect them to. So, And oh, by the way, Arizona, have we seen a set of World Series teams from the previous year be this bad through the first 6 weeks of the season?
Fair question.
Neither one of these teams are hitting. Neither one of these teams have any life or any punch to them whatsoever. You keep waiting for them to snap out of it going, this is a great spot. And I officially swore off the Diamondbacks with Zach Gallen on the mound. It was a Friday night when I bet on the money line. And Gallen went 6 innings, gave up no runs, and then they decided to send him out there for the 7th for him to get tagged for 6 runs by the damn bullpen. And they lost that game outright by the Detroit Tigers. My God.
Oh, my goodness. There was a huge save just now for Vancouver. Edmonton has started this game all over. I like Vancouver, and I'm leaning over. I didn't do anything yet with the total, waiting for it to go down and then go over. If I can get over 4.5, I think 5 is the number. And it started at 5.5, so we're almost going to be there in game.
You know what? One play I would have never taken in that game, real quick, Dave, with hockey.
What?
I would have never taken a 3-way money line, like a regulation win, because this game feels like it's got overtime written all over it.
Yep.
Right. 2-2 overtime. Yeah.
I can't believe how high of a favorite that Edmonton was. I feel like this really is one of those coin flip games that you could play the overtime. Game 7 overtime is the absolute best, and it very well could happen tonight.
Yes.
We saw Game 7. Yep. I know, just explain to me what the hell happened to the Knicks. I mean, because we talked about it multiple times when you were on with Ranieri. It was just one of those things that finally caught up to them, right? Like it was going to happen. But
I agree it was going to happen. I agree the injuries and everything were to catch up to him. But, in reality, guys, there's an element of randomness and luck to what we saw. I mean, the Pacers shot 80% from the field in the first 15 minutes of basketball. Like, you could put the Pacers in the gym by themselves against nobody, and they wouldn't hit 80% of their shots. With nobody playing defense in practice, they wouldn't hit 80% of their shots. So there's a certain element of randomness that when they had the best Game 7 shooting performance in NBA history, NBA playoff history, like, I mean, you know, the Knicks didn't play bad. They were down 39-24 in the first quarter, whatever it was, and they were still, they themselves were shooting about 50% from the field. Like, it just, you know, I don't know if it caught up to them as much as they just caught the wrong team at the wrong time in the wrong game. And I don't want to take anything away from Indiana per se, because, you know, again, they certainly are a team that is really good. I'll say this much, though, and we'll get into this more, Matt, on the other side. I think the Pacers are a much worse matchup for the Celtics than the Knicks would be. Like, even if you had the Knicks with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, I think Boston still controls that series from start to finish. This is a different animal with the Pacers for Boston. And I think, and I'll tell you this right now, Pacers plus 2.5 at plus money. Give me.
I don't mind that. I mean, I don't mind that at all because I like Boston in 6. So, but I think a 5-gamer and a 4-gamer is in play. I think Boston can win in 4. Boston can win in 5. I think the most likely outcome is that they win in 6 because Boston falls asleep. They fell asleep in Game 2 in both previous series. They'll fall asleep at least one time in this series, if not 2 times. They'll fall asleep and Indiana will win and someone will go nuts. We'll get to that series, the Western Conference on the other side as well. Mark, Dave, Matt, InGame. SportsGrid, Monday night. Don't move.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
In-game live on a Monday night. Mark Zinno's hanging out with Dave Sharapan and myself, Matt Perrault. We've got an eye on this hockey game. It's a up-tempo speed 5-minute start for this one. 0-0, though. Both goaltenders making key stops. We'll talk about more of that game on the other side. Mark, the NBA playoffs, obviously Final Four here. It's kind of wild, but I read the stat today. This is the first time in a really long time that we don't have a defending MVP or a former MVP left in the Final Four for these teams who are left. The Celtics, I think you're right. I think Pacers are being undervalued a little bit here in this one, but Do you make anything of this, like the Celtics path has been too easy? Like this is the easiest path in the history of the NBA playoffs, so we don't really know how good Boston is because they've played nobody?
I mean, they don't get to choose their opponent. And whatever stupid idiot thinks that's a good idea for the NBA playoffs, just don't. That's not a good idea. For any sport that matter where you get to pick your opponent. They played who was in front of them. Hey, you know what? When you earn the number one seed, that's the breaks you get. That's why playing 82 games matters, and that's why winning as many of them matters, so you get the easiest path. That's what the number one seed's supposed to get, the easiest path. So, no, I'm not saying anything bad about the path whatsoever. I mean, in theory, the Knicks didn't have an incredibly tough path. The Pacers were a team that were very beatable for them if they were healthy. So,
right.
Regardless of that, I think the Pacers have a chance here to rattle Boston a little bit. And I'll tell you the difference. There's going to be a game here. And if you go back to their 5 regular season meetings, Boston won 3, Indiana won 2, including one in the in-season tournament, which was the one game where Boston only scored 112. But that's because they shot 29% from 3 in that game. Their 11th worst three-point shooting effort of the season. And that was the difference in that game. But the other loss was a 133-131 final. There's going to be a game. It's going to come down to the final 30 seconds. And that'll be the determinant whether the Boston wins in 5 or Boston wins in 6. If the Pacers win that game, it's going 6. If they lose that game, it'll be 4 or 5. That's really what it boils down to. I don't think Boston's going to fall asleep. I just think Boston is going to have to deal with something they didn't deal with in the first 2 rounds, and that's a team that runs. And that's a team that can shoot as well as they do, because that's exactly what the Pacers do. The Knicks don't have the shooters to keep up with Boston, and they play slow. So everything works in Boston's favor because Boston plays slow. You may not think that, but they're bottom 10 in the league in pace. They're just so efficient on offense. That's why they score a ton of points. The Pacers, I've said this repeatedly. The Pacers are that football coach when down by 20 is still running the football. Why? Because that's our identity. We run the ball. You know what the Pacers do? They run up and down the court because that's their identity, and they don't care what the score is. They're going to keep moving as fast as they possibly can and shooting as many threes as they can, which is why they score at the rate that they do. So it doesn't matter the situation. The Pacers are going to make Boston very uncomfortable with the pace that they play.
What about so you like them plus 2.5 in the series? I was going to ask you, do you have a bet on this series? But I was going to ask you about the next series too. What's the bet on the Pacers and Celtics?
You mean the other series, Minnesota and Dallas?
Well, no, what's the bet on this? We got something coming up here.
Yes,
series special
Pacers
bet.
Pacers plus 2.5. 2.5 games. I mean, it was at plus money on FanDuel this morning. I'm not sure where it is now, but when I was shocked. I'm like, plus money for this? This is a gift. This is an absolute gift. I'm not saying Boston is overvalued. I'm not saying they might be a little bit overpriced.
Yeah,
but
they're overpriced.
The level of that Indiana can't win 2 games here when they beat them twice in the regular season, to me seems a little. All it takes is one bad shooting night by Boston, and we've seen that happen in each of the first 2 series. That they're going to have I don't think it's fall asleep. You're just going to have a stinker kind of night, and so not Minnesota. Indiana's going to get one. And then all they got to do is steal one more, and they should be good. I don't think Indiana is going to lose 2 games on their home floor here. I don't.
Okay, interesting. What about the other series, Minnesota and Dallas?
I mean, if you get the defensive effort from Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns that you got in Game 7, at least for a handful of games in this series, I don't know that Dallas can handle what Minnesota is going to do. The one thing that Denver could do, right, is when they had Aaron Gordon hot from 3 and they had Jamal Murray shooting well, they were nearly impossible to defend. Does Dallas have that level of shooters all around the floor other than Kyrie and Luka? Probably not.
Do you think it's going to be a series of unders or overs?
It depends on where the totals go as far as the depressed number, but I would lean on overs because Minnesota needs to score.
Agreed. Mark, good stuff. Appreciate it. We'll give you an update on Vancouver and Edmonton on the other side here on SportsGrid.
fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
In-game live on a Monday. Thanks to Mark Zinner for stopping on by. Dave Sharapan and Matt Perrault. We have started Game 7 in Vancouver. No score, Oilers and the Canucks. But my goodness gracious, Dave, how has no one scored? This is an up-tempo hockey game with the live total down to 4.5, heavily juiced to the over. I'm on under 6. Am I going to get 3.5? How many minutes do I got to wait here before we get 3.5? Next period?
The way this is going, shots on goal are 9 shots for Edmonton to actually only, does that say 1 shot on goal?
Yeah, they don't shoot. Vancouver doesn't shoot. That's the thing. The Canucks don't shoot at all.
Well, they've missed the net a couple times. So I'm surprised that there hasn't been a goal. But at the same time, I don't think the 4.5 is going to stay around very long. If we don't get a goal, we're almost at the halfway of the first period mark and no goal yet. So we're at the 4.5. We'll play with the juice and let it flip from the over being the favorite to under being a favorite. It'll probably get to 4.5 minus 180 to 200 and then flip right to 3.5. If there's no goal scored in the next 5 minutes, we're going to see 3.5 in the first period because the starting point was 5.5. So a lot of people are very excited by this. A lot of people had the first period under. A lot of people had the game under.
Yep.
I think your number, if you want to do the middle thing, is 2.5 because you get the 3, the 4, and the 5. You're going to have to wait it out.
I don't know if we get 2. 1 goal flips it up. We're not going to see 2.5. 2.5 will come in period 2, right? Like halfway in the second period. If you have the 1-0 for the next 20 minutes.
After the 15-minute mark of the second period, 5 minutes in, you'll get the 2.5 with the juice over heavy. But you get the 3, the 4, and the 5 all working for you for a middle. That's how you make money in this game.
Interesting.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'll look for it. If I get it, I'll fire on it for sure. The Mariners have clawed all the way back on the Yankees, take a 5-4 lead, top of the 9th inning. Yankees bullpen comes in and blows this game. The over comes in. Man, that was a dead under for the Yankees and the Mariners. George Kurtz is not going to be happy at all. We talked to him during the first hour. He was on the under for the Yankees and the Mariners, much like my bet with the Braves under in that first game for them in the doubleheader. I was on the Braves under. Bullpen comes in, blows up everything. 5-4 lead for the Mariners now. The Orioles are down 5-3 to the Cardinals, but the Angels in the top of the 5th just put up a 3-run home run. It's now 8-6 Angels up against the Astros. That game in the top of the 5th inning. there. So 8-1 Royals are all over the Tigers going on, and the Marlins walked it off 3-2 in extras. They win their game against the Milwaukee Brewers, who Christian Yelich stole home in that game. Really, the highlight of that, when you see that, it's pretty cool. It was a delayed steal at home to have them go and tie the game up. I think it'll put them up 2-1. Marlins tied it. Marlins win it in the bottom of the 10th inning for them with the ghost runner there. So we don't get multiple runs. We get one run in the win for the Miami Marlins up against the Milwaukee Brewers. Are you comfortable laying the run line with the Dodgers? That's the last game coming up later on tonight that starts here in about 30 minutes.
Comfortable? I don't know if I want to use the word comfortable, but I think I'm more comfortable with the run line than I am 240.
It's juiced now. It's minus 120. It's juiced. I hate that. Run line juiced at minus 120 is no thank you.
I know you get mad. Like you take that personal. That's the book has to do that at some point. That's the only defense because no one's really liking the 250. They don't even use it really as a parlay piece. So you got to juice the run line because that's what everybody plays. So listen, it's not always fair, but I'd rather do that than lay the 250. No.
But yeah, but the aggravation of putting 1.2 units down and have a 5-4 win for the Dodgers and you lose that bet the aggravation of that is tremendous. I can't stand that. I can't stand it. It's my least favorite thing about betting baseball is like, oh, do I want to lay $3? No. Okay, well, if I don't want to lay $3, I got to lay 1.2 units down on the run line and the team I bet wins and I lose. That's just aggravation of the highest degree. Can't handle that.
You know what else is aggravation?
What?
You see the Astros score? It's a 7 spot for the Angels right now. They're winning the game 8-6. They got a touchdown in the top of the 5th.
Well, into the bottom of the 5th now, yeah, but they scored 1 in the first inning and 7 in the 5th. 8-6. Astros scored 4 in the second and 2 in the 4th. So we got a football game breaking out 8-6 now between Angels and the Astros. High scoring game coming on there.
This is the baseball sweat. Are you ready? Things are heating up in Vegas. It's almost 100 degrees every day now. We're getting warm. Balls are starting to fly out of ballparks. School's ending. My daughter's last day of school was today. Yours is Wednesday. It's summer vacation. It's baseball every day. Look at the smile on your face. Look at that. You look very excited by all of this. No?
I'm ecstatic. So excited. I love it. It's just the most fun thing in the world. Let me go bet NASCAR. Like I want no part of any of this.
NASCAR?
To avoid betting baseball all day, I'd rather bet NASCAR. I mean, look, again, baseball betting, I think it's one of those things where you either bet baseball every day or you don't. Yeah. Like, I don't like to bet the same thing every day. I like to mix it up. I like to bet fights. I like to bet NASCAR, golf, basketball, hockey when I can, even WNBA. I like mixing it up. I get bored betting the same thing every day. Baseball betting is a lot of redundancy. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Like, I should bet the under in the Braves game tomorrow because the first game went over today. Second game went way under. Tomorrow I should bet the under. But, like, that's boring. But I should do it, but it's boring. It's just boring. I get bored with it. And like winning is winning. I get it. But like you start kicking yourself when you're playing unders and the team's 22-4-1, I think now over the last 27 games to the under. And like, okay, it's going to flip. Like I played it today. It didn't hit and then it doesn't hit again tomorrow. It's like, you don't subscribe to this idea of like you bet the first game. If you lose, you double down again. You bet the third game, you double down again because it's hard to get a sweep. You don't subscribe to that nonsense, do you?
No, the baseball martingale. I've seen people try to do this. Friend of ours, Chris Andrews, has a tremendous story about some big oil money guys that came into the book when he was running the joint in Reno, and they tried to do this. Team won 3 in a row. So they bet against them, and they bet against them, and then they bet against them, and they doubled up. And they did it for, I think it was either 8 or 10 days in a row. And the team went on a 14-game winning streak or whatever it was. He never saw him again. Literally 10 days in a row.
Buried somewhere.
I think it was like the Minnesota Twins or something in the early 90s, and it went against them. That one streak can break you if you do that
Can
double up,
ruin you for
double up,
life.
double up.
It just,
Yeah.
it's impossible. And people do it. And that's, baseball betting is so difficult and so tricky for that reason. It's just a difficult thing to say. Like Rafael Devers, right? If you were betting the no on Rafael Devers, hits a home run. Okay, he won't. No, he hits another one. Yes. Okay, he's not going to go 5 in a row. He did. Not going to go 6 in a row. He did. Not going to go 7 in a row. Like, when you expect things, when you bet against things to happen, so often it happens. It's remarkable. Nothing.
That situation, you have to just stop. You don't flip it. Like, you don't flip your bet.
Don't chase.
Because as soon as you do, right, the other thing's going to happen.
Kicks back in.
Don't
Absolutely. No, I've seen it, done it to me. You just got to walk away. You just cut the arm off and stop the bleeding and walk away. Like, just deal with it. You're hurt. Just let it go. Like, don't try to keep on making it work, making it better. It's just not going to work. You just eliminate it. Nothing. We're into the 14 minutes gone by in the first period. 4.5. We're approaching potentially juice to the under 4.5. I'm on under 6 for this game. Might get a 3.5. Might even get a 2.5 if we start the second period slowly here for game 7. That would be a fun little over bet for me to go over 2.5, but I'll take 3.5. Give me 3.5. I'm going to take it. We'll ask hockey bets and other plays with Scott Wetzel next here on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
In-game live on a Monday. Dave Sharapan and Matt Perrault. Let's talk some hockey, some baseball, and whatever else Scott Wetzel wants to talk about here with us here on SportsGrid. Scotty, good to see you. No score here. I'm on the under. What's your thought? Do you have a bet play pick on Vancouver Game 7 against Edmonton?
Yeah, it's not looking good, but I actually went contrarian. I like the over. I just figured with a third-string goaltender for Vancouver, guys, and a goaltender that's already been yanked one time for Edmonton and Skinner, that maybe, just maybe, listen, we still got hope.
it's still in the first period, but no score. I would have liked. My fear was that we need goals in this first period. If we get out of this first period with no goals, then we're in trouble, obviously, because you have no goals, but because that means both teams going really conservative. But I did go contrarian. I knew that was the case. Game 7s generally go under, 16-5 under their last 21. All 4 games this year, including 4 in a row, including a couple this season. So. But I did like the over, and I still think we're going to get some goals. And even at 4.5, it's suspiciously, staying close to the original 5.5 number, even though we only have 5 minutes or so left in the first period. So give me I still like the over, and I'll take it even at 4.5.
We get the pleasure of talking to each other twice a week, and
yes, we do,
knowing kind of what maybe we're thinking or looking at, or different things like this. Sum up what you saw over the weekend with the basketball, if you can, because our futures parlay, Denver's out, no more of that. Yeah. And, we're down to it in the hockey, but we'll just focus on the basketball. Before I ask you about the WNBA, I wanted to throw you for a loop. NBA, who's in the finals? All right, right now, series picks. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Minnesota. I will. Obviously, that's a chalky thing, a recent memory. But I think Denver and Minnesota both would have beaten Dallas. I give Dallas credit for what they've done. But, outside of the top 2, and I don't even know if you can really count on Kyrie, as long as Minnesota can keep their feet on the ground and not get too giddy about knocking off Denver, I think they are the better team. And then, listen, who's going to pick Indiana, right? And 14-1 underdogs. I would take the Indiana plus 2.5 games, though. Listen, Cleveland won a game. Miami won a game. I think Indiana is that much better than both Cleveland and Miami, certainly without Jimmy B. So if those 2 teams can win a game, it's kind of weird that number would be that high, 14-1. I mean, it's not that crazy of a thought to have this Indiana team. They're loaded. They're a talented team. So, but in the end, we'll use the chalk. We'll go with Boston and Minnesota, right? Who's going to pick Indiana versus Dallas at this point? Anybody?
No, but why do you think the total is only 222 in game 1 for Boston and Indiana? I mean, we've gone through all the numbers. Boston scored 155 points in one game, and in a different game, it was 133-131. It feels like the books are totally ignoring what happened in the 5 games previously and saying playoff basketball, we're going to go low scoring between Indiana and Boston.
Yeah, I know. Like even yesterday when me and Ranieri were doing in-game live, when the game was going on, that was on a torrid, Nick in Indiana, torrid pace for the over, and they just kept on keeping it really low. They would not go higher than the 50-point each quarter scenario that was basically to start the game. And, we kept on pounding on the over. Maybe that's the case, Matt. They're hell-bent on going unders. We had so many unders at the beginning of the postseason. They can't accept the fact that we're going to have, more offense here. I don't get it because, listen, unless there's a clunker, and that's been the case in the last couple of rounds, or last round in the NBA. If it's a close game, more times than not, way more times than not, the game's going over. The only games that are going under are the 120-90 games, and it's going under because one team fails to show up. And I don't think that's going to be the case. You're going to need to be like a 125 to 100. Indiana doesn't show for the game to go. Well, that would go over, but you know what I mean. 125 to 95 under. Because it's a blowout, not because it's a competitive game.
So there's your series picks. The boys have the graphic. I'm going to let you explain those a little bit before I ask you about the baseball game that's tonight. But series price, series picks, it says Pacers plus 2.5 games. What else do you have here? What did you come up with? What are these things?
We got a little bit of everything for all the shoppers out there, guys. We got a little bit of everything.
Scott,
yes.
you're laying $650. Woo, that's expensive.
I'm going to lay the 650, but then I'm going to take the 12-1. We'll start with the 650, right? Tyrese Halliburton, most assists, minus 650. Who wants to lay minus 650, right? Nobody. I get that. But the guy averages 10.9 assists, so 11 assists. The next guy on Indiana starter averages 3.7, basically 7 assists less. There's no way in the world he's not leading Indiana in assists. All right, so let's go over to Boston. The leading assist guy in the Celtics regular season is Derek White at 5. less than half of what Halliburton averages. So, barring an injury, and that's the case in any bet you make, there's just no way. This is a black cloud. No way this guy is not leading Indiana and Boston in assists this series. I mean, I know you don't want to lay 650, but sometimes, you want to make money, then you lay the 650. And then you go at Pascal Siakam, most points, 12-1. He's the leading scorer for Indiana in the postseason at 21 points. Halliburton's at 20. Same thing in the regular season. Jason Tatum is only averaging 24 in the postseason. Jaylen Brown only 23. And we both know, all three of us know, that those two guys are more than capable laying a clunker. So this is based on total points, not necessarily averages. So Siakam at 12-1, he's a pretty consistent 20-point-a-night scorer. He might just be able to sneak in and get you that 12-1 ticket.
Wow, that is. Halliburton might lead the whole thing in scoring if he goes crazy. Late game tonight in baseball. Who do you like? Dodgers, D-backs?
Well, you got to go Dodgers, right? Big night for Mookie Betts because Arizona's got a lefty pitching. Betts is hitting over 360 against righties. Play him, whether it's 2 hits at plus 175 like I'm going to do, an RBI is at plus 130. I think is a great play. Maybe even a home run if you want to go that crazy.
I like it.
You got you and Joe coming up tonight, right?
Yep. 3 hours, me and Joe, the little hockey. For some reason, I thought the hockey game started a little bit later today, but I guess not. For some goofy reason. Maybe I was just hoping that it was starting at 10.
What's the final score of the hockey game? What are you calling right now? Call it.
5-2 Vancouver.
3-2 Vancouver.
Is done.
We'll see you top of the hour, Scotty.
All right, guys.
Dave and I back to wrap. By the way, a 5-minute major.
Uh-oh.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. And it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Dave Sharapan, Matt Perrault, last couple of moments with us here on In-Game Live. 0-0 after one, a 5-minute major. 0 goals scored by Vancouver. Dave, what does that tell you about the second period? Because generally in the regular season, we looked at low-scoring first period, high-scoring second period. Bet the over 1.5 in the second period?
Yeah, probably. I don't know how people say it, but it's either hockey or hockey. In Pittsburgh, we say hockey. I guess in some places they say hockey. I'm getting it in my ear right now from the boys.
Well,
that's
if the O is an A, then yeah, but it's hockey.
Hockey
With an
that?
O. It's hockey. It's hockey. H-O-C-K. Hockey. Hockey.
No, it's
H-O-C-K. Hockey.
Hockey. You made it H-W. Hockey.
No, hockey. No W. Hockey. H-O-C-K. Hockey.
We're playing hockey. All right.
Yes.
We got to get goals. This has been a hell of a game. I'm telling you what. The Canucks got 2 shots on goal. This has been an electric game. And you're going to watch Wetzel and Joe. You got to watch.
3.5.
Oh,
you got it right now. It's 3.5. In-game.
Wow.
Over 3.5 right now. It's juicy. It's minus 148, but you got it if you want it. If you're under 5.5 or under 6, I'm on under 6. You can take.
Are we starting a power play? Or
10 seconds.
Or even strength?
10 seconds into the second period, power play. Unless they score really fast, it'll be 5-on-5.
Okay, so that's gonna change. You're gonna get 3.5 over even money or almost no juice 3 minutes or 4 minutes into the period.
Yeah. And then when you get 2.5.
Well, you get 2.5, maybe halfway. This is going right now where I don't know. You and I just both watched it. We got the boys in our ears watching it. Could this be 2-0?
It could be easily, but I think either we're getting 2 goals in the second period. I've been over 1.5 goals. I want over 2.5. I would even take over. If I get even money, 3.5, I'll take it because I think we're going to get this game is too high paced for this thing to stay a low scoring game. We got breakaways. We got 5-minute majors. We've had everything went perfect. Both goaltenders stood in their heads.
Amazing.
Someone's going to break the ice in this second period. Someone's scoring, and I think we're going to get multiple goals in the second period.
First goal wins?
No. This is not a 1-0, 2-1 game in my mind. This is still 3-2.
No, I know, but I'm thinking if first goal gets scored, the second goal might get scored by the same team.
Oh,
and
maybe.
Then it's a wrap. A 2-goal lead in this one, I think it's done.
Fair. I would
agree.
agree.
This is going.
Yep. I think it's going to be wild to see how many minutes it takes to score, though, because Edmonton's had numerous, on the doorstep opportunities, and they haven't scored. And they had a breakaway, a shorthanded breakaway during the 5-on-5, during the major. No goals. So, again, shots on net for Vancouver, low. I think it's 10-2, getting outshot in the first period. For Sogs, 12-2, even worse. So, again, Vancouver not getting the puck on the net very often. Oilers all over the place, and you're putting a lot of pressure on a young goaltender to make big saves. And so far, so good. Silver with 13 saves in this game so far. To 2 for Skinner. Just challenge the guy.
2 power plays for Vancouver, over 2. Edmonton hasn't had a power play yet, and they're outshooting them actually 13-2 now.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because you look at the number, it's only minus 150 right now.
It's 2.5. There it is. It's 2.5. It dropped to 2.5. FanDuel just put up 2.5 minus 148. Wow.
There it is. There's your play.
There it is. I can't believe that.
3-4-5 working for the middle. That's a good spot.
2.5.
That's a really good spot.
Oh, you can shop around. Some places are wow. Oh, now it's right back to 3.5. Ooh, they tested the waters.
That wasn't
FanDuel
supposed to happen.
just tested the waters with that.
Wasn't supposed to happen.
That was a mistake?
I was
okay.
I was going to say they were watching the show and they said, "Oh, listen, Sharapan and Perrault are saying maybe put it at 2.5." Now they put it out there. No, that was too quick. But they're ready.
That was a 1 minute 2.5.
They're ready. It was like 30 seconds.
Yeah. Hopefully somebody bet that and got on that. But you get 2.5. If you're under 6, under 5.5, like I am, I think it's a good bet to go over 2.5. I think second period over as well. I think we're going to see offense here in the second period. He is Dave. I am Matt. You'll see Dave back tomorrow. I'll be back later in the week on SportsGrid. Thanks for watching, guys.